Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club, where today I'm up here at Nelson Bay and I'm on the path to Zenith Beach, a beach where a couple of weeks ago I saw this massive shark swimming just outside the breakers. And what I'd like to do today is to continue a talk, to continue to add to the series that I'm putting together, entitled All That I've Learned from Tony Robbins Over the Years. I'm putting together a series of 365 videos, one a day, in tribute to the big man, for all the great work that he's done over the past 30 or 40 years, where he has taken OPE from many books, other people's experiences, including his own, and he's put together programs where he can help people make better sense of the world and make better sense of their lives. It's dawn up here at Nelson Bay, a little bit overcast, but I think the weather is going to improve over the next couple of days, so I'm looking forward to getting up to the top of Mount Tomaree and doing some vlogs from up there at sunrise, because from that vantage point up there you do get a sweeping view across the coastline, and it is a wonderful place. It's my bolt hole. I love going up there just to get away from everything and to use that vantage point as a place of prayer, as a place of priming, where we can stack the positives and try and relieve ourselves and liberate ourselves from all the negative influences which are constantly popping onto our radar. Even though we try and eliminate them and get rid of them, they keep on appearing and reappearing on our radar, because I think at the end of the day it's human nature. It's human nature to be negative, and as the big man reminds us, the brain is constantly scouring the universe for negatives. It's constantly scouring the universe for evidence of danger in order to keep us safe, in order to help us survive. And it goes back to our days of creation, where we start to build and start to accumulate real and imagined fears. And although today and the world that we live in today is much, much safer, still at the back of our mind we have a litany of fears that are no longer relevant. So we need to find ways of overriding our brain, overriding our thought processes, so that we can eliminate or at least minimize those thoughts wherever possible. So what I'd like to do over the next 20 minutes or so is to pick an element from Tony Robbins' book Awaken the Giant Within, because I did read that book 2 or 3 times in my 30s, and gained a lot of insights. And what we can do is we can focus on a few of those insights and see what more we can get from it. Because Anthony Robbins does spend a lot of time talking about the importance of priming and the importance of having a routine in the morning that gets us and sets us straight for the day. A routine that includes gratitude, a routine that includes us thinking about the things in our life that we should be grateful for, the things in our life that sometimes go unnoticed, the people in our lives and everything that's going on that makes our life beautiful and magical. It's a perfect morning today. The surf is flat. It's full tide. The sun is now just starting to come up. And as I said, what we'll do is we'll focus on an element and we'll see where it leads us. Because nothing that I do is edited or planned in any way. What we do is we just get through it and we make our way and we build upon what we've said and what we've thought, hopefully in a way that will give us empowerment, that will make us stronger and better. So when I look at the notes here that I've got, I'll just turn to my notes. At the bottom there, I took this at the UPW just recently, and he says that the only problem really are people who think that they should not have any problems. So this is where Anthony Robbins is at his greatest and at his finest, because he's able to put things into perspective and he's able to share with people the common thread that ties all people together. And the fact is that regardless of how much money one has, regardless of how or where someone lives, regardless of how many toys somebody may have, the fact remains that all people are going to be challenged at all times throughout their lives. The waves on this beach never cease pounding. They never cease pounding the coastline. And the coastline continues to be the focal point of the crashing of these waves, just like the sun never ceases to rise in the east every morning and go down in the west every evening. It's a cycle of life that just continues unabated. And similarly, Anthony Robbins reminds us that we as humans, we as people, are forever going to be troubled, forever going to be challenged, forever going to be bent and stretched and felt and feel discomfort, because that's what life's all about. Anthony Robbins says that what distinguishes people who are alive from people who are dead is the presence of never-ending problems from day to day. So we need to establish, we need to embrace, and we need to appreciate that problems are a part of life. They're a part of my life, they're a part of your life, and they're a part of everybody's life. And the sooner we start to appreciate that and to welcome it, the sooner we're going to be able to live a liberated life where we realise that problem solving is what life's all about. And by solving problems, by embracing problems, by dealing with problems, you're basically entering the growth and development phase that we're all called to do in our lives. Anthony Robbins reminds us, and many speakers remind us, and many religious leaders remind us as well of the similar thing, that each person needs to take ownership of their problems. Each person needs to take ownership of their life. Each person needs to take ownership of the challenges and the solutions that they come up with, because each person has a completely different life. We've all had a different past. There's no doubt about it. Each person is created in the image of God, and we're all created individually and independent of each other. Even if you're a Siamese twin fused together, even if you're a identical twin who was born looking exactly the same as your sibling, you're going to have a different life. You're going to have a different past. You're going to enjoy and experience a different present. I am here, you're somewhere else. And we're all going to have a different future. Even if you're in the same place at the same time, all the time. Even if you fuse at the hips to your partner, you're going to have a different experience in life. And that's what makes life beautiful. Because we're all different from each other. We're all created differently from each other. We all have different experiences from each other. Even if you were standing here right with me and right next to me, you're going to have a different experience because your senses are going to focus on different elements. Some people are going to be here and be entranced by the crashing of the waves. Others are going to be overwhelmed by the colours of the sky and the patterns within the sky. Other people are just going to love the sights, the sounds, the smells, the tastes, and the feels, the feelings that they have whilst being on this wonderful beach, Zenith Beach, at this particular time. And God makes us different. He gives us different charismata, as the Greeks say. He gives us different gifts, different specialities, so that we can absorb creation and enjoy creation in different ways and celebrate His glory in different ways as well. So we're made different from each other so that we can be different for each other, so that we can complement and supplement each other's strengths and weaknesses. Strengths and weaknesses that come and go within a lifetime. Strengths and weaknesses that we have at different moments of the day, depending on the situations that we find ourselves in. Because at the end of the day, we are called to manage through life and to have situational management skills a skill that I learnt many years ago when I worked for a great company back in the 80s called IBM, who invested lots and lots of money in people's growth and development, in training, and we learnt back there that the best managers are the ones who are able to do the right thing at the right time, to be able to manage the situation, because the situations change. You can't have one rule or one size that fits all. Everything is different in many, many ways. So what we're saying is that we need to be flexible in our life, we need to be nuanced in our approach, and we need to consider what's going on and what would be the best possible solution to a current challenge that we're facing. Knowing that you try one thing, it doesn't work, doesn't mean that it's not going to work tomorrow, the day after, because we learn throughout lives that we all have different fates, and God's will is God's will. Just because it doesn't work today doesn't mean it's not going to work tomorrow, and vice versa. Just because it worked yesterday doesn't mean it's going to work today. We need to accept and follow and appreciate and submit to God's will, and just to keep on trying, to keep on working, to keep on doing the things that are God-pleasing, because at the end of the day, one of the most imperative, important points to learn is that our purpose on life, the purpose for us living and being where we are today, is to serve God with all our heart, mind and soul, to love God with all our heart, mind and soul, to glorify God with all our heart, mind and soul, and to love our neighbour as we love ourselves. So we need to take ownership, as we mentioned before, of our lives, and to do the things that are going to have the greatest impact, the greatest positive impact on our environment and on our relationships with ourselves, on our relationship with God, and on our relationship with all the people that we touch throughout the day and throughout our lives. So we get back to the concept of priming and how we need to somehow spend part of our day or part of our lives trying to create certainty in a world that is variable, in a world that is uncertain, in a world that is increasingly appearing to become uncertain with the advent of social media. What happens these days is that we get information bombarded to us on a regular basis, and we are overwhelmed with the changes, the rapid changes, because news is instantaneous these days. We get bombarded with more information in one day than what our great-grandparents would have been subjected to in a whole lifetime. And it's important to be able to put that into perspective. But what we're trying to get to here is the understanding that it's important to take control of your mind. It's important to take control of your interpretation of what's going on in the world and in our life, our worldview, and not to get sucked into the conspiracy theories that are being floated by the media, by certain people in our networks, which all they do really is just create fear, uncertainty and doubt, which we don't really need. There's enough uncertainty and doubt in the world without being surrounded by people who amplify it, who glorify it, and who make it top of mind all the time. So what we're trying to say here is that we need to be in a position where we can spend some time in the day creating certainty, and the best time to do it, according to the big man Tony Robbins, is to do our priming exercises first thing in the morning. And whilst Tony Robbins talks about it, it's important to understand and put things into perspective that these priming exercises that Tony Robbins talk about have always been available to us through our religion, through Christianity, and is nothing new. Christians have been praying incessantly from the days of Jesus Christ and the first apostles. Prayer and morning prayer has been something that's been a part of the Jewish faith, the Old Testament. No, we are called to pray. We are called to worship God and to glorify God. And we need to be able to do it on our own accord. And as we're saying here, we're being called to and we're being asked to try and be a little bit more creative in our life and to bring some certainty into our world. And the way we bring the certainty into our world is through something which is called priming, but it can be known as other names as well. As I say, it can be called prayer, it could be called meditation, it could be called positive thinking. But what priming is where you focus your mind for a little bit of time, first thing in the morning, on the things that are happening in your life that are great. You focus on the things that you're grateful for, the people that you love and who love you, the successes, the little successes that you've been able to have in your life. You have and embody certain routines in your morning schedule. You brush your teeth, you wash your face, you have a shower. For men, you have a shave. Some people go to the gym, other people go for a walk, other people make some breakfast, other people prepare their lunch. There are a number of little routines that you can do first thing in the morning that can create certainty in your day, knowing that for most of us, in fact for all of us, just like today, nobody's been to today before, and today may be a little bit like yesterday, but it may be tremendously different from yesterday. Some people today are going to experience some things that are going to change their lives forever in a positive or a negative way. You just don't know what's going to happen from a health perspective. And as I say, each person has a different life. Each person has a different challenge, and each person is going to experience a different day to their brother, their sister, their friend, and everybody else in their lives. And we need to be able to appreciate that everything's going to be different. So Anthony Robbins calls people to take charge of their lives, and rather than be a spectator in their lives and to go with the flow or to go wherever the tide goes or to go wherever everybody else goes, to be more directional, to be more deliberate in what they do, and to live their life, their days with positive expectancy, of course, but to do it in a way that's going to empower them, it's going to make them stronger, it's going to make them better able to deal with the challenges and to make sense of the challenges so that they're not overwhelmed or feel bad about themselves. So in effect, what we're being asked to do is to rewire our nervous system ever so slightly, ever so differently to what we would have had if we just left everything go laissez-faire without giving it some thought, without giving it some direction, some intentionality. And the big man Anthony Robbins also talks about the importance of learning how to smile, because by smiling, what he says is that it changes the whole physiology. There are all these muscles that get engaged when you smile, and when you smile brightly. And that in itself can change the way you feel, the way you look, the way other people engage you, and the way you engage yourself as well. Because what it does is it rewires the way you are. And of course we've learnt how physiology, how your body language is important, because it makes you feel different, but it also makes other people feel different towards you as well, because it's a way of communicating strength, it's a way of communicating calmness, it's a way of communicating how you feel to other people, and it can change the way you perceive yourself and how you feel, but it also changes how other people feel towards you as well. So Anthony Robbins also talks about the importance of laughing, because once again, laughter does something positive to you. It lifts you, it makes you feel better, it secretes some pleasure hormones into your bloodstream, which have an ongoing effect on how you feel and how you look, and it influences in a positive way your body chemistry. So once again, the big man Anthony Robbins reminds us that we should learn how to laugh. I've got my sister-in-law here from Greece, and I told her that Australia's a beautiful place, a wonderful place, a lot of wonderful people. But what you don't hear a lot of here in Australia is you don't hear a lot of laughter compared to Greece, where in Greece you'll hear people laughing, you'll hear people engaging, talking with each other, even if they sound like they're fighting. There's a lot more level, there's a higher level of engagement between people in Europe, I guess you could say, but I'll use Greece as an example. And there's a lot of laughter, and this is where Anthony Robbins says that it's important to laugh to yourself, with your friends, but to learn how to laugh. My grandmother, Kassiani Kalpaxi, who has since passed away, but during her healthy days, during her healthy times, I remember her once saying to me as a young man, and it caught me by surprise actually, where she says, Δημητράκι μου, το γέλιο έχει γίνει πάρα πολύ ακριβό εδώ στην Αυστραλία αυτή την εποχή, which translated into English means that laughter has become very expensive here in Australia in these modern times, because she recalls back in the old days when she was in Greece, or even in the early days when she came and emigrated from Greece to Australia as a young migrant with a family, even though they had lots and lots of challenges, lots and lots of problems. She said that people were different back then. There was laughter, there was banter. People didn't collapse into themselves. They would share their challenges with others, but they'd also have opportunities to do things to make them feel good and not to worry too much about things that in reality they couldn't really change all that much anyway. So the importance of laughter, and this is where Anthony Robbins is saying that you could even just do fake laughter. And we did a couple of experiences or a couple of exercises at UPW where people were just asked just to laugh, to do fake laughter. And before you knew it, people were laughing realistic, we're really laughing, because the fake laughter triggered the nervous system to the point where people just let go and their bodies were flooded with pleasure hormones, with dopamine, and it was just funny to watch, funny to experience, and a great exercise. And Anthony Robbins here says also that we need to train ourselves to like the things that we don't like. And I remember, not this time round, but last time, back in the mid-90s, 94, 95, where Anthony Robbins was talking about the fact that he went on a retreat once where he was working in a kitchen, and he was peeling potatoes and doing all of these activities that he wouldn't normally enjoy and like. And he said that it got to the moment where he said to himself, I'm going to enjoy this experience and make the most of it and make it a plus 10 experience, where he started to laugh and he started to do things, and he turned an experience that he wouldn't normally enjoy into something that he absolutely loved. And he says, quite rightly, that what you can do is you can train your brain to create joy and enjoyment out of things that you wouldn't normally enjoy. But it's up to you to do it. It's up to you to try and find love, peace, fun in every moment of your life. Because at the end of the day, it is your life. And if you can't find joy, love, happiness where you are at the moment, chances are that you'll never be able to find love, joy, peace, happiness anywhere on the planet. Because it's more about your frame of mind. It's more about how you see the world, your attitude, your worldview that is the problem, as opposed to the environment that you're in. So some important lessons from the big man, that you need to train yourself to love even the things that you don't like, because the power is within you. And this is where the big man offers everybody a challenge and it's called the 21-day challenge. And that 21-day challenge is to try and rewire the mind, rewire the body, rewire our attitude, and to do the things that you don't normally do, to enjoy the things that you don't normally enjoy, and to try and get additional meaning in your life, basically turning your sixes into eights and figuring out ways and forcing yourself to enjoy everything you do, and to find ways of finding meaning and enjoyment. So we need to change radically our physiology in order to change our psychology. So we need to do things differently, to see things differently in order to get those breakthrough gains. And he talks about the importance of breathing. So once again, in our morning priming session, we need to exercise, we need to move our bodies, and we need to breathe deeply. I remember back in the 90s when I went to UPW, he introduced the audience to a thing called power breathing, where you breathe in from your nose, hold it for a certain count, and then force the breath out. So force it in through the nose, hold it, count to 10 or whatever it was, and then force it out. So in and out. And then to go through and, talk about the three things to yourself that you're grateful for, and to stack the gratitude, to stack the positives one on top of the other, and to try and outdo the previous one with something which you're even more grateful for, and even more grateful for, and to turn it into a bit of a game so that you can enjoy the process and have a lot of fun with that process. Because what happens and what stuffs people's lives up, according to the big man, is anger and fear. Fearing things which are, I guess, not real. Because Anthony Robbins says that the word fear, F-E-A-R, is false evidence appearing real. We create the fear in our life. We inherit the fears in our life. So we're the gatekeeper when it comes to fear. And what Anthony Robbins is saying is that we need to be a little bit more hard-nosed as being the gatekeeper, so that we only allow in the real fears, the fears that are going to cause imminent danger, but imminent real danger, and to flee, fight, or freeze on those occasions. But most other occasions, we need to take in from our senses what is going on, hold it for a moment, think about it, use our rational mind, and then respond in a productive way, in an empowering way, rather than to overreact and to do things which are not going to be productive, to do things which are not going to help us grow and develop and achieve the outcomes, rather than just going down a rabbit hole and just being lost down there. And the other things that Anthony Robbins talks about as well is that on a daily basis we need to set ourselves 3 things that we need to achieve throughout the day. If we're not talking to somebody at work, if we've had a falling out with somebody at work, then mend that fallout. Talk to them. Be the first one to say hello. Do things. And try and achieve 3 different things throughout the day, based on a particular plan that you have. Say to yourself what you want to achieve. see it and feel it and experience the victory and celebrate the victory before it actually happens. So you need to, think about things that you're happy about, but also set yourself a plan of things that you need to do throughout the day to feel the power of priming. And we need to try it, we need to create it, and we need an antidote to the bullshit that's happening in our lives. And as we said, we need to stack the good things in order to reset our brain, because as we know, our brain is flawed. Our brain can't tell the difference between something that is vividly imagined and something that is real. So you have the power to vividly imagine something good as opposed to vividly imagining something which is bad. You can vividly imagine something that is empowering rather than being sucked into something that you vividly imagine that is disempowering. So the answer is very, very simple. Because the brain is very, very brilliant, but it's also very flawed. It can add, it can delete, and it can distort. Why not use that ability where you can be the master? You, through God's help, can use your brain for better, for greatness, to make you a bigger, better, and more productive partner in creation, where we can cooperate, and co-create with God better moments, magical situations, scenarios, to make the world a better place, not only for us but for other people, for the people around us who can't quite take control of their mind, who are overwhelmed with irrational fears, who are sucked into a vortex of negativity where they fear, where they are subject to uncertainty and are frozen with their doubts. Fear, uncertainty and doubt, FUD, as they used to call it at IBM. So, we have the power to unlock ourselves, but we also have the power through our example to help other people unlock themselves and liberate themselves from their irrational fears that they have made up. They have inherited, other people have made up, because at the end of the day, we are either priming ourselves with our thoughts, or we are being primed by somebody else, or we have held on to priming that somebody else may have given us at a particular point in our lives that may have been relevant and useful then, but today is completely outdated and completely a waste of time. So it's up to us to evaluate our fears, to evaluate our worldview, and to liberate ourselves from the conspiracy theories, to liberate ourselves from all the bullshit that we've absorbed into our mental state, from our culture, from our friends, our family, our uncles, our aunts, mothers, fathers, grandparents, the media, our work peers, culturally, as I mentioned before, misinterpreted through religion. Because at the end of the day, everybody is well-meaning, but if that well-meaning that other people have is not serving us, if it's not allowing us to grow, develop, and express our calling, and to be better people, then it's no longer needed, it's no longer welcome in our lives, is the point that the big man Tony Robbins tells us about. So we have a chance, we have an opportunity to make right and to make good And the big man reminds us that change can come in an instant. Change can come in a heartbeat. You don't need weeks and weeks. You don't need hours and hours. You can make the change right now, right here. A change that's going to change your life forever. So everybody is invited. Everybody is asked to take charge, where possible, of their mental faculties and to override the things that are not working for them, the things that are holding them back. And it will come by training and retraining, by taking 10 minutes a day to identify the three things that you're grateful for, to visualize and concentrate and challenge yourself on 3 things that you're going to achieve throughout the day, to create the certainty in your life that is going to get you off on the right foot, is going to help you build momentum to get over those humps, through those hurdles, across those stepping stones that are going to lead you down your path. Because the further you move along the path, the more challenges you're going to face. And as we kicked off this video earlier, we need to appreciate, we need to accept the fact that life is about problems. And the more problems you solve, the more problems you creatively fix, then the more power you're going to have. Because what you're doing is you're building and you're storing in your inventory of solutions a number of patterns in terms of being able to interpret future patterns or future problems and knowing what works and what doesn't work and what may work. So you're building yourself, as I mentioned before, an inventory of skills, an inventory of solutions that you can use in next time round, that will enable you to be able to anticipate where the pattern is heading, rather than fearing it, rather than running away from it. You're going to walk towards it. You're going to move towards it, because you know that there is a high probability that this pattern has happened before in a varying way, in a different way, but you know what the solution is going to be if you take action A, B and C. So once again, we are called to action to work with God. We're called to action to do things rather than to sit back and wait for things to happen, and to be the co-creator of our future, to work in partnership with God, doing the things, as we said before, that are God-pleasing, and to accept God's will, and to continue to labour in a productive way, to be a servant of God, to make things happen for us, for our families, and to make this world a better place for others around us as well. So I think I'll leave it there today. So thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club, where I'm up here at Zenith Beach at the foot of Mount Tomaree. I'm going to go up there later on and do another vlog honouring St. Catherine on her name day, and to continue to add to this sub-series of all that I've learnt from Anthony Robbins over the years. As I said, I'm putting together a tribute series to the big man, Anthony Robbins, and to take all of the wonderful lessons that he has been able to share with millions of people over the years, and to put them into a documentary, into a series of 365 videos, one a day basically, for people who are interested in taking a structured approach to their growth and development, so they too can grow and develop by learning day by day the skills and all the necessary knowledge that will help them get to where they need to get to. But of course, all the knowledge in the world means nothing if you don't take action, if you don't take the plunge into the surf like this man here is about to do. He's just come down to the beach and he's going to go for his morning swim. And as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, there was this massive shark swimming just about, I don't know, maybe 50 metres offshore, 100 metres offshore, and it was going up and down just outside the breakers, and I was able to film it from right at the top there, sitting on the edge of the rocks and just looking down. It's probably about 300, 400 metres away, but if I could see it back through the surf, then you can imagine how big it is. Anyway, there are sharks everywhere, as we know, and the fear of having sharks in the water is an irrational fear, because at the end of the day, there are millions of people in the water throughout the year swimming with the sharks and sharing this wonderful environment, sharing their environment, their home, with them as well. So the chance of getting eaten by a shark or attacked by a shark are next to nothing. So we shouldn't use that, even though there is a shark in the water, we shouldn't use that as an excuse to hold back and to not enjoy our lives and to enjoy the gift of the surf first thing in the morning. Anyway, take care, wishing you all the best. I can't wait to come to you again from a different place with a different message of empowerment, where we can live, learn and pass it on and make the most of this particular day and every day that we have on this planet, enjoying the gift of our health and the glory of creation. Yassas, take care and bye for now.